you slide me in.
All right, that's game, kids. Put it over. That's game.
Hell yeah.
Fuck you.
All right, it's W. Welcome to the Poor Time Podcast. It's your boy, Frank Zamisa, and I'm here with K-Mac. And I want to get that started like right away, K-Mac.
I fucking hate it.
I'm here
I
with,
bowl well to it, but
I'm here with JV, Johnny Vega, Junior Varsity.
How you doing?
And we've got a guest here, Justin O'Shea, a good friend of the podcast. He's our liquor expert, and he's going to be here for a very special episode of the podcast. We're also joined by the Mothman in the corner. A very special episode of the podcast. This is going to be what we call story time with the Poor Timing Podcast, and we'll elaborate a little bit further. But it's good to see you guys today.
The real Connecticut haunting.
Yes, it's the haunting in Connecticut.
The real one.
Mm-hmm.
I've actually never heard this story front to back, so I'm very excited. And I've only heard it in chunks.
It's not as good a story as it is a terribly frightening story.
Okay. Yeah, and it's never been quite documented like this.
Yeah,
and I don't know if it's more of an epic tale than a story.
Right. Okay.
It's got layers.
If you sat through 8 movies of Harry Potter, you're gonna love this.
Yeah, there were side quests going on during this. So
They really were.
things were happening before we even went on the trip. Started early.
Anything you guys need to get off your chest before we get into the story?
I do not accept any liability.
Yeah. The statutes of limitations are passed, so you're good.
All
I
right.
plead the fifth for the whole story.
I just want to say before we get started that I didn't wear a hat in case anybody was questioning whether or not my hair was still as luxurious as it was.
It looks good.
It's
looks
still.
good.
Anyone who thought I was balding because I was wearing a hat, fuck you. My shit's perfect.
Shots fired.
My shit's
for one-
perfect.
I, for one, am balding, and that is why.
All right, so Connecticut. Let me set the stage for you. The reason a group of our friends, which we'll name momentarily, is headed to Connecticut is a portion of us are in a band and we're going to play a show. And we can get into more details as we move on, but we're going to start the day with that. We're in a band, we're going to a show. Holmes, why don't you tell us about the van rental process, as that's really where it began.
All right, so basically, you had to be a certain age to rent the van. I forget the age, but I was the only one.
21.
Yeah, I guess I was the only one who was 21 to rent it. So we basically rented a 15-passenger like church van and brought it to my house and ripped all the seats out of it so we could fit all the band equipment in it.
And the band equipment was, at that time, 3 half-stack amps for 2 guitars and a bass and a full drum kit. So this was probably somewhere around, with the guitars and bass we had, probably somewhere around $12,000 worth of music equipment in this van. All right, so we get the van, Holmes brings it back to his place, and we start assembling the crew. And the first thing that happens, I believe, is Holmes picks up Johnny. Is that correct?
No. He picked me up first.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, no, I don't know if that can be true.
What's that?
Because where Holmes did what he did was on Montauk Highway over by where we used to pick you up when you were just a baby.
Yes. Oh, so you were in the car with him?
Yeah.
Oh, so you two picked me up.
Yeah, so I
That's
think
what I'm
Holmes
thinking.
Okay.
I think Holmes picks up Johnny first and then heads over to Justin O'Shea's. Justin,
I think so.
you get in the van and tell us what happens.
30 seconds into being in this van, Holmes hits a pedestrian. Guy bounces off the front of
And
the
this
car.
guy's walking?
Walking.
Yeah.
And he apologizes to Holmes. I'm sorry. You just got hit
So we
by a
pulled up-
10,000-pound van.
Yeah, he better apologize.
We pulled up to an intersection to make a right turn into the lane, and this guy, as we pulled up, was crossing the street, and as a person crosses the street and they see a van that's fully stopped, and he assumed, he's like, oh, okay, this guy's gonna let me go because he's all the way in front of our car.
It was his
van.
fault. It was definitely his fault.
It was his fault, but he was in front of our van, and Holmes just didn't see the guy directly in front of him and just started going.
You tapped him or you fucking...
No, it was a love tap.
Yeah,
He was very short, and the van was higher than I was used to driving.
for sure. Yeah, it was difficult to see. Definitely, I'll give Holmes the benefit of the doubt on that. And we were young, and I don't know if you'd driven a lot of things like that, but He ran away. I don't know if you guys remember that. He was scared. He fucking bolted in the opposite direction for some reason.
I don't know if he had a valid ID. Let's just say that.
Yeah, I don't.
Where are you going with that?
Yeah, what are you trying to say?
Don't know.
Where you going
I
with
think he
that?
was afraid that if the law came, there would be a problem.
Yeah, that is what. Who knows? Maybe he had a warrant or something. He was he was
A lot
out
of
that
assumptions going on here
Well, I
about
don't
this
know.
poor young
He definitely
man.
didn't want to be involved.
This guy
with
got
getting
hit by a fucking van.
and then he ran away. So what? So
Maybe he was really hurt.
If there was anyone else getting hit by a van, they'd be on the floor and have the biggest lawsuit. Like,
100,000%.
Did that cross your mind when you first hit him? Like, oh,
No, because if
fuck.
he didn't run, I was gonna.
All right, so this guy gets hit with the van. They end up straightening it up with him, and they come to pick me up. I get in the van. We load my gear. We go back to Holmes's place to meet up with everyone as the rest of our crew, which we could get into. So again, it was Holmes, myself, Justin, and Johnny in the van, and who we met back at Holmes's house to get the rest of our gear was our good friend Mike, our good friend Nick, our good friend Steve-O, and I think that was it, right?
There was a lot of people, man. I don't even remember everybody who.
Oh,
was
and
there.
Poe was in the band.
Yeah.
So I think that was the whole crew.
Any girls?
much.
Were there any girls?
No, I promise.
That's probably a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for this
more
story.
lawsuits for
So
you.
as we continue to pack out the rest of the van, one of the members, and I won't name who, it almost doesn't matter at this point, begins to put what he feels is art on the van. Does anybody want to recall what was written on the van?
Okay, so I'll take the lead on this one because I'll try to paint it in a way that is the best possible way
Good
to
luck.
paint this. Okay.
We were
So-
young and stupid. Let's just
Thank
say
you, John.
that.
That's where I wanted to lead. So if John was 21, I was 17.
Yeah.
Yeah, a young 17, right? So I was 17. So the other folks were 18 and 19, which is still probably a little too old to do this.
Yeah.
And I would also like to say none of us were involved in the doing of this, but we definitely
Well, that narrows
should
it down.
we
that
could
na-
have known better than to
Yes.
allow this to happen.
That
didn't wipe
narrows
it
it
off.
down to who did it, so I'll say that I was involved even though I wasn't. How does that sound?
No, there was a ton of people, and there was a ton of people in this car, and
Yes.
It was Mike C.
If you guys rather not say what it was, in post I could make a little drawing.
No, we're going to say what it
Okay.
was.
man, okay, so I guess this was supposed to be some kind of humor.
I don't know if it was.
Or was it a political message for whoever did? I don't know exactly, but what was written on the side of our car was 9/11 was an earthquake.
With a drawing.
With God. And looking back, it is just fucking makes my stomach turn that we.
Well, the funny part about it is we did say don't do that, and we got shut down.
Real quick.
So also let me lead with another thing. Let me say another thing is that I think everybody thought it would be funny to write or draw something on
Yes,
the van.
Totally.
Like our band names?
Yeah,
Yes.
something
Started
funny,
off there.
something that was gonna be funny, something that was lighthearted, or the band name, or something that kids would do. And we were actually at a moment where we were like, "What the fuck are we gonna write on here? Like, why did we even think to do this? Now we're stuck. We have to think of something to write on here."
And
No
that
one could agree.
That moment of indecision cost us dearly.
Indeed, because it was the first or second misstep of many.
It was
that
the
we
first
made.
misstep of things written on the van, because let's not forget, while that was on the driver's side of the van, the back of the van had 2 inverted crosses with 666 underneath it. Just for the record.
Oh, okay.
And our band name.
And our band name right next to it.
So
And our address.
we're just trying to be honest, guys. We were young, stupid. We really. This whole story is full of us making mistakes.
Yeah.
Us being fucking idiots. Us doing things completely wrong. Us being disrespectful in so many ways. And maybe we had what was coming to us.
And
we got what was coming to us. I don't know.
Ultimately, up until a certain point, probably having the best day of our lives.
Oh, we thought we were having the greatest fucking day. I have the videos of us
Oh my god, the best.
singing. Oh man, I should have sent those.
Yeah.
There's videos of everybody in the van singing "Taking Back Sunday," like on a like we were having like this is gonna be the best day of our lives, guys.
Yeah,
We
it
were on
wasn't.
tour.
It was not.
It was, and then it wasn't.
It wasn't.
All right, so we've got the van all dressed up the way we,
Yeah, with
the way
our
we
fucking
wanted.
art on it. Yeah,
And-
Dingo, please ask
like-
questions.
Yeah, please ask.
How far are you driving?
We're driving from
Well-
the Mastic area, and there's a detour we'll get into momentarily. But in theory, we're driving from the Mastic area, so the south shore of Long Island, all the way around. We are not taking the ferry through New York City to Connecticut.
So through New York City with your beautiful dress.
Yes,
up,
and
okay.
we're driving to Waterbury, Connecticut, which is more
Directly on the other side.
Yeah, which is
Okay.
more affectionately known as Brooklyn, Connecticut.
As we found out.
But
We made a lot of mistakes.
before we decide we're going to start heading way west to the city and Connecticut, we decide to go way out of our way east to West Hampton Beach.
So Frank's mom can give us free egg
So
sandwiches.
we all got. My mom at the time was working at a
fuck?
very good deli in the Hamptons, and she got us just the works. Like, if there were 8 of us in the van, she gave us like 14 bacon, egg, and cheeses, the big iced teas, the sides of home fries. It was like a $200.
Did she like
breakfast
the
order.
van? Was she right for the
I
van?
don't think she saw it.
I don't
Yeah,
think
no.
she
She
saw
didn't
it.
come out.
No,
So
I
you're
don't
also
think she
going
saw
to
it.
the
Definitely
Hamptons.
would not
We
have
went
asked
into the
you
Hamptons
that.
with it first, and believe it or not a peep out of the Hamptonites.
Of course not. They're scared.
Yeah, they might have been. They might have thought we were some sort of religious cult or something.
I'm sure people had a lot of fucking thoughts about our van.
Yeah, but
yeah.
they didn't voice those thoughts, and that would
Nobody.
later become.
Nobody tried to swerve us off the road or shoot at
at
us
that,
or kill us.
at
yet.
that point.
Yeah,
at
yeah,
that point.
yeah. Nothing had even happened to
All
us.
right, so we
Okay.
pick up this beautiful breakfast. We're enjoying it on the car ride. Holmes, if I remember it correctly, you pretty much drove the whole way there.
Yeah, I did.
So Holmes is driving. We are now headed west to the city, essentially. And it's when we start getting into the Nassau County area and then through Queens, when the van starts getting a lot of
Becomes very popular.
yeah, unwanted
yeah,
attention.
Yeah, like maybe people were taking pictures or people were kind of like riding next to us trying to see what the fuck was going on inside.
Who are these people?
Yeah,
I
what the-
would say when we got into Brooklyn was when the first person drove up next to us and told us to pull over.
Yeah. Car full of guys.
Car full of
Pull
dudes
the fuck
said,
over.
"Pull the fuck over."
And we were probably laughing. I don't remember.
We
but
were
we're-
laughing
yeah, we
while
were probably
Holmes was driving pretty quickly while he was
Yeah,
accelerating.
we were not going to pull over.
No,
for
that was
anything.
never going to happen.
No way.
Now, the funny part is, and this is something we can speculate about now, though, why were they offended? Was it the 9/11 or was it the religious
It was
aspect?
like
I'm sure-
freshly. Like what year was this? Because it was pretty recent.
It was
Not
probably
even-
10-year
Right now,
anniversary.
it's still
Yeah.
recent.
Yeah.
For 9/11? Yeah, right now.
Yeah.
9/11's not going to
9/11.
be funny for another 10 years.
And to publicly write that on your van to drive around like a fucking billboard.
But still, all it takes
That's
is one
insane.
person that attends church every Sunday to see the inverted cross
Yeah,
in
and the
666
Well,
and be
it's-
like, oh,
yeah.
well, fuck you.
It's the fucking combination. You guys
Right.
have literally
Yeah.
every offensive
Yeah,
thing.
exactly.
Yeah.
And you're just triggering people on the highway.
And to be fair, this was before all those like little fish with feet coexist bullshit. It all exists. Like this was still at a time where it was like a little bit weird if you were a fucking 666 devil. Like you now you see people with that shit tattooed on their face. It was before every day.
It was before goth TikTok, you know.
So, yeah, right, exactly. So, do we stop at Arby's before the show? Or was that after the show? I think it was before.
I think it was on
'cause
the way, yeah.
Yeah, it was daytime. So, Arby's stop probably would have been somewhere in between the city and Connecticut.
Yeah, probably.
I remember
off of
that.
Long
I
Island.
remember us getting a ton of curly fries, which is crazy to me to think about because we had such a big breakfast. It couldn't have been.
You do like
Shout
to
out
eat,
to Mikey.
Frank.
I do eat much more than you guys.
Lies.
Since we're talking about Arby's, do we want to go into any other fast
Fast
foods
food.
that we
Yeah,
like?
let's make
or-
sure we touch the fast food on this podcast.
Yeah, you know what? I would
always.
just like to say Arby's. It's all right.
Okay, it's not bad.
We got the meats.
Now that's gonna get beeped out, I think.
And I got the shits.
Yeah, exactly. No, the curly fries. You know, I stocked up on the curly fries. It was good. That's a very small aspect of this story.
Yeah, we could blow past that. We could blow past the fast food. Did we stop at the
But it
beginning
had
of
to
the
be
fast food?
mentioned, obviously. But
Yeah.
anyway, so we get past Arby's, and we are approaching Connecticut. I don't think we had, other than a couple of pull the fuck overs, many more incidents on the road on the way there.
No, and honestly, in my memory, it felt fine.
Yeah.
Like, you know, anything
Yeah.
that did happen
we brushed it
wasn't-
off.
was like, you know,
I think
Whatever.
that was pissing people off more as they're yelling at us, telling us to pull over. We're all in the van just laughing at them. That probably egged them on a little bit.
100%.
And as Johnny said before, we're just having a good time. We're in there singing songs. We're in there talking about the show. We're excited about the show. It's at that time, it was our first show out of state, I think, right?
Yeah, it was our one show tour.
Yeah, it was our one show tour. And to set the stage a little bit further, we are meeting another Long Island band who we're all very good friends with at this show. So we essentially have, a sister band that we're meeting there.
Yep.
We get to the show and we're very early. We had left probably way earlier than we needed to.
Quick question.
Please.
There's no fear at this point.
Nothing.
No.
Okay.
Not even a tinge.
To be fair, for me, there is a little bit of irritation.
Okay.
Like, was this really worth it and necessary?
When we pulled up when we started getting into the town the show was in, we were a little surprised at how the area looked.
Yeah. Oh, this was. Let me tell you, I can't.
Do we want to get there now?
Yeah, I can't speak to all of Waterbury, Connecticut, but this particular town in Waterbury, Connecticut, or street, it was fucking sketchy.
So from what I understand, I'm not a big Connecticut guy, but from what I understand, it's a little bit like Long Island, where it's like one town is going to be millionaires, and then the next town is going to be literal slums.
Bellport.
Jesus Christ.
But there's also millionaires in Bellport as well.
Yeah.
So
That's what I'm saying. It's like literally like block to block in some
Other
cases.
side
So
of the track.
the area just and I don't want to make it seem like the area was like shocking or appalling to us because we come from what most people would consider a pretty low end area, a low income area.
Speak for
Right,
yourself.
sure.
Yes, for sure.
So nothing was shocking, but we were like basically like, oh shit, we're home. Fuck.
Yeah, when we got into this town, it was a kind of a valley situation. Like everything was normal, and then all of a sudden we get into this valley, and it's like maybe it seemed like a cloud went in front of the sun, and it got a little dimmer,
For sure.
So I remember
you're
getting
this
to
is a little darker here for some reason.
I remember getting to the bar that it was at and us going through the wrong entrance because we were so early. And we were at the front entrance of the bar, which had pool tables and like some biker dudes in it.
Yeah.
And we were like, oh, we're here to play a show. And they were like, oh, you must be downstairs in the basement. You got to go around, blah, blah, blah. But I remember when we were first upstairs in the pool table area, somebody was there talking to us about Hatebreed and how they had a barber shop down the road.
Yeah, one of the guys in the band.
So I wanted to mention this. Actually, I didn't want to cut you off though. I remember this because I'm a big Hatebreed fan, but this was Jamie Josta's town.
Yeah.
Like I'm pretty sure it was where he was from. They were saying, or like he got tattooed at one of the shops.
Yeah,
like
there was
like
a tattoo place down the road. That's what it was. Not a barber shop. The
It's
barber shop comes into play later.
Yeah, I mean, like if you know anything about Hatebreed, Jamie Josta had a pretty fucking rough life, and we were, if it was anything like this fucking town, it was far rougher than you could imagine.
Yeah. They want to see him fail. That's for sure. Anyway, so we're told that we're in the wrong area of the building, although we have the right building. So we actually, at that point, move the van from one side of the building to the other side of the building. Now, when the van is parked, Holmes, because you parked it, do you remember, and we'll get to this later, but for now, do you remember there being an issue with the parking space in which you selected?
I do remember something, but what was the issue?
Well, there was no issue for us when we got out of the van. There ended up being an issue very, very far down the road. But when you parked, did you even think about where you parked?
No, I probably just picked the best location to get our instruments into the...
Perfect. That's a great way to put it. Yeah. Perfect. This will come back up later.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we're still there with nobody fucking there. The show is not starting for like 4 hours.
Yeah, if I could add a detail, when we walked into this bar and we started getting a feel for it, the first thing that I noticed is that everybody in there who was like day drinking and hanging out was just chain smoking cigarettes inside. Yep. And at the time, it should have been a big red flag because smoking had been illegal inside pretty much everywhere already for fucking years. I thought it was cool as hell. I'm like, this is sick. Smoking cigarettes inside still.
I think
it was definitely a red flag.
I think it did raise a major red flag with me. But then when we got brought to the other area, I was like, oh, these guys aren't going to be in there.
Yeah,
these chain smoking dudes. Little did I know that they would also play a role later on. But anyway, so we go into the area in which the show is going to happen, and again, there's no one really there yet. But we realized, oh, this is much more legit than the front of the bar. It's a legit venue. There's places for you to set up your merch table. There's a full stage. You know, they had a sick PA system.
I remember thinking this was a cool venue.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very
It
cool.
had a drop-down, like, audience standing.
like a little mosh pit
Yeah,
area.
like, it was down a couple steps.
Yeah.
And the stage was, I would say, about, like, 3-4 feet high
it
or
was like
something.
perfect.
It was
It was like
perfect for hardcore shows.
And we set up our merch table. We felt like all nerdy. We were there first. Like I'm pretty sure we played second. There was a band before us, so because we didn't set up our equipment right away. So there's a band for us, but we set up the merch table with the shirts and the demos and stuff. And I think you and Mike C pretty much sat at that table for a good chunk of the night.
Yeah. Pretty sure a band before you covered the Gorilla Biscuits. And
Yeah,
I was
you're
excited.
absolutely right. You're
I was
absolutely
excited
right.
about that.
You're absolutely right. So we're on second, and we play the show. And the part for me that gets so lost in this story is how great that show was. We played perfectly. We had so much energy, and we got off that stage, and we had never gotten rid of so many shirts or demos so fast.
No, that was like
They
one of our
loved
best shows.
us. Yeah.
And Johnny, we never saw the money from the merch
Yeah,
table.
what happened with that?
Sorry, guys.
But it was-
those thousands of dollars that you made.
Yeah.
I took it.
The $22 we made.
So we play great. We're having such a good time. I'm answering questions left and right. Like, where are you guys from? How can we hear your music? Or do you have any more demos? Because we got sold out of demos, which had never happened on Long Island ever.
Yeah.
And
I also just want to say I remember you guys connecting with other bands while you were at that show and making
so
friends and stuff.
the band that headlined the show before the mess went down covered a Comeback Kid song, and we went fucking nuts because a good chunk of us were big Comeback Kid fans, and we met up with those dudes afterwards, and they were like, hey, can you get us shows in New York? And we had the misfortune of having to tell them, hey, you guys are awesome, we'll help you as much as we can, but you can't cover Comeback Kid on Long Island because everyone on Long Island's a stuck-up prick.
Yep, a lot of cool kids.
They were really,
especially at the
good.
time.
Yeah, they were really good dudes, and we were having such a good time at that show. And the show ended. The show was over at one point.
Yeah, but it was actually a little bit more complicated than that.
Yeah.
More was going down while the show was going on.
Oh,
too.
there are definitely details.
So actually, how I remember it.
Quick question: who encountered the first mishap during the show? Because you said some things were happening.
Well,
So that's what I was. That's kind of what I was pondering because it was kind of like before we even got to the show. I just like to say we did drive around this town, and we kind of got the feel for it. We drove up this road, and we saw that there's a barber shop, and then we drove a little bit further, and we noticed all these houses, and the houses were like. I don't want to seem like I'm making it like
Abandoned.
yeah, like it seemed like a very abandoned place, but then like you're like, oh, look at that abandoned house, and then you see like a child come to the window and like wave at you. You know what I'm saying? Like, like you think this place is abandoned, it's not. It was. We really quickly realized that this was a rough area, but we also being from, a pretty poor, drug-infested part of Long Island felt kind of a little more comfortable than we should have felt.
now your mission, Justin, you and Holmes, your mission didn't come till after our set.
It was after our set,
Right.
maybe after the band that played after us.
This
We
is
went on a
side
yeah,
quest.
side
This was side because
Yeah.
we won't get to that this second because there was an incident during the last band playing, which I think was the tip of the iceberg, or at least the jumping off point.
I think that the Justin thing happened before that, though.
We showed up. Me and Holmes showed back up to that incident. happening.
Okay.
So I'm thinking maybe
Yeah.
Holmes and Justin do get to talk
All
about
right,
their
Holmes
side
and
mission now.
Justin, what is the mindset in which what fuels this quest?
Justin wanted weed.
No. Holmes wanted alcohol.
Okay, those two things are hand in hand with each other for you two. So
So coming in, we saw there was a deli like right around the block and a half away. Me and Holmes. He's the only one who's
What time
able to
is
buy
it?
Figure it's a Sunday, I think.
because there's a certain time in which you can no longer buy alcohol in
and
Connecticut.
it's 8, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock.
All right,
no, actually
continue.
a little later. Probably 9, 10 because the show had been going on for a while.
Continue.
We find the deli. There's a barber shop next door. It's 10 o'clock at night. Barbershops aren't open at 10 o'clock at night. This one was, and it was packed. 20 people outside just fucking drinking and smoking.
It was more popping than the bar.
Oh, yeah, way more. So we go inside, me and John, to go buy some beer. And there are chains and locks on the beer fucking...
like multiple chains and locks.
Yeah.
Wow.
So to set
my
the stage,
God.
at a certain time you can no longer sell alcohol in the state of Connecticut. But that doesn't mean you have to chain and lock.
Chain and lock. And it was,
There's
I'm
a
pretty
problem
sure
with
there's
something
like,
there.
Normally they stop selling at like 1, 2 o'clock, not 10, 9 o'clock.
I feel like the chains and locks were a good kind of insight of where we were.
So at that point, Holmes, you can't get your beer. You like, fuck it, I just want to smoke some weed then.
Did you get Listerine?
I think somehow, like, while we're in the store noticing that we can't buy alcohol, like, Justin was like, we got to get weed.
Again, Holmes looked at me and goes, you should go ask those guys for some weed.
So I remember, just as a person who was not with you guys, I remember wanting to smoke weed. Like, I remember being like, man, it would be so cool if we were able to get weed out here or something, right, guys? Like, I think I just started smoking weed.
It was
Like,
kind of weird that we didn't have, especially
I
when
was
we
just
didn't
going to
have
say, do you
anything
remember
on.
the reason why you didn't have weed?
Maybe it's because we were driving to
yeah, we were like
Connecticut or
nervous
something.
about
State
being
to state,
kids
sure.
with weed. It was still illegal. Although, like, it was still very illegal at the time.
All right.
We would have gotten fucked if we had weed. Maybe it was the thing.
So tell me the crew you approach in front of the barbershop.
Not.
It was more like a gang, let's just say.
Well, now I can't say what I was going to say. They were not white. Not one of them.
All right. So a majority of
We
young
go up-
African American men.
Asian. We go up to the biggest fucking dude for some reason. Drinking a 40. Eyes are closed. Big dude wearing a Celtics jersey and a puffy jacket like
Hell
it was
yeah.
96.
Sick.
And he's like, yeah, I got you. Follow me.
I love that.
And we do.
Did you have any thought when he first said that? Like, nah.
No. No, we wanted that fucking weed.
So you were like, "Fuck yeah, let's go."
So
All
we
right.
wanted a 20 bag.
That
And
was the verbiage discussed.
20. And he's like, I got you. Makes a phone call. He's like, we're going to go meet my boy.
Okay.
Getting sketchy. So we're following him for a few minutes.
How long is the walk from barbershop to...
Just a couple minutes.
Yeah, so
not
we're-
far.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Well, we don't know where we're going.
What
but
did you see in your travels?
Just abandoned houses.
abandoned house, mattresses and couches and front yards and the fucking all that.
Okay.
So we're walking to go meet a guy, and out of one of these abandoned houses comes not a guy we were going to meet, and they go, "Yo, what's up?" So, "Yo, you got some weed?" He's like,
Different guy. That's fucking
different
awesome.
guy. So he's like, all right, come with me.
So now he's gathering people as you walk through the neighborhood.
There is not one light on in this house. You can see not one fucking light on.
So he came out from a dark house.
Came out from the shadows, dude.
And went back in.
And our guy goes into the house and goes, "Wait here." But he says it in a way where you're like, I'm going to get murdered. And me and John wait there on the front porch sitting there. And he disappears and a few minutes go
At
by.
this point, is there any regret?
Nah, we really wanted that. So the
Still zero regret.
tension's building a little bit. And all of a sudden,
Hold on, wait. Can I ask
Please,
one question? So there was no regret, but did you feel a sense of fear or like what the fuck is about to happen?
The
Like,
table is starting to turn.
I was ready to die for that
Okay.
minute.
okay, so there was no even second thought in your mind at all.
At this point, we were still pretty gung-ho about it.
Oh,
okay, cool.
sick.
That's,
But at the next point,
that was the
sick.
vibe of the whole day. It was like, fuck it, we're fucking doing this.
At this next point is when it kind of changed. So we're sitting on the front porch next to a fucking couch and a mattress in the front yard. No lights on in the house. A car pulls up from this way and another car pulls up from this way. Same exact time. One right in front, one right across the street. And me and Holmes look at each other and just go, be ready to fucking run.
Did you have an exit plan? Like, we're going this way. We're going back
My
to the
exit
show.
plan was to push Holmes to the ground, jump this fence, and go.
You just had to get it further than home.
But coming from a similar type of environment, at least you're ready to run. Because if you were naive, just visiting, you wouldn't think twice about it.
We're sitting there like, dude, when it's time, we just fucking go.
Yeah.
I think that played a major role in all this because, like, there were times we've probably been in our own neighborhood and, like, sketchy.
I have such a similar story.
Yeah, I was going to say, we'll get... A big thing we want to do with this show is talk about where we're from in our neighborhood and all the sketchy, crazy shit we've seen growing up. And we'll get there, but I think that does play a factor in why we were so comfortable. And we felt like we could do whatever here.
Sure.
Been
Like,
here, done that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right,
Go ahead.
so
Yeah.
he's indoors. The cars pull up.
So thankfully the cars were unrelated. We think he comes out of the house and he's like, "Follow me." Like, we've been following this guy for a long time. It really was a side quest in a video game.
Yeah.
We find it's like now we are next to an apartment building with like a little lobby, and he's like, "Duck in here with me real quick." So me and Holmes are standing there, and he just goes, "Put your hand out."
Show me the motion.
Put my hand out. He bought a 20 bag. He takes out $7 worth of weed max, puts it in my hand, and I'm like,
No bag.
no bag. Put your
Straight
hand out.
in the hand.
And he goes, "All right, $25." And we're like, "No, dude, we said 20." And he's like, "You said 25." And I gave him those other $5. So
Good thing you had an extra 5 on you.
25 could have got dicey if you
You
did
probably
not.
only had $25
that
on
was
you.
it. That was what my mom gave me before we went on this trip.
Yeah, and someone probably had $2 for a Dutch.
If you didn't have another 5, you could have just been like, "Yo, put your hand out," and like put
Gave
some
him
of it in his
Gave
hand.
him the rest of the weed back and also gave him $25 and said, "Thank you."
But
and
I
left.
do remember we did not have $2 more for a Dutch, and Steve-O fashioned the old bowl out of a can, and that's how we
Yeah,
smoked
so
that.
that's funny because
No,
that was...
we smoked a blunt.
Or maybe on the way back, because it was at a pit stop.
Yeah,
Yeah,
maybe you
the-
guys did
A little bit left over,
Yeah,
yeah.
a little bit left over.
I definitely
I do
smoked out of
remember
a
that.
can.
Yeah.
I remember the
definitely-
can.
I
for
remember that.
certain
So-
at a
so-
rest stop.
Yeah.
Somebody got a Dutch because I remember the blunt to me was a part of the story.
Yeah.
I guess we're approaching that part of the story now
All right,
because Justin and John retrieved the bag, the $7 of weed, and you bring it back.
What was that walk?
Successfully.
What was that walk like? You finally get away from this character and you're walking back with the weed. What was that walk like? We just narrowly escaped death.
It was like, "Yo, we're gonna get high now."
The adrenaline was going.
So
but it
what-
was
You
their
guys
success.
were definitely still psyched.
What do
Yeah,
you
we were
expect?
Definitely like fuck
Psyched
yeah.
more that we didn't die at this
What
point.
do you
Even
ex-
if it was $7 worth of weed.
Didn't
Right.
matter. Yeah.
What did you expect to walk back to? Because I can guarantee you that's not what you walked
We
back to.
we thought we were coming back to like watch the main band,
Sure.
whoever it was. Like, okay, cool, we grabbed this. Let's watch the main band. We get back, and I don't know who came out of the show and was like, "We got to get the fuck out of here." I'm like,
Almost
what's going on?
instantaneously.
Like,
Okay.
yeah, somebody from the other band, fucking named Mashed Potato or something, punched somebody in the face.
Okay, yeah. We won't name any other name.
I think mashed potato's a good name.
Mashed
for
potato's
him.
perfect.
Yeah.
But that was literally the first thing from getting back from our adventure
Yeah.
that we hear
Get in the
is
van.
we have to get the fuck out of here.
gotta
Yeah,
Yes.
let's
From your-
stop
so-
there and then let's backtrack to
Okay.
what's happening simultaneously.
I would love to pick this part of the story up because I have a really good bead from this part of the story because if I do remember correctly, you guys are in the show watching the band and I was in the car a stone child and I did not want to watch the last band for some reason. I just was like, I'm just going to sit in the van. Like, I think our friend Mike was with us in the van at the time.
I was pumped to watch the bands.
Yeah,
'cause
exactly.
They gave
Yeah.
us so much respect. And
Yeah.
I
And
wanted
I
to
wasn't
return
in-
the favor.
Yeah, and I wasn't in your band at the time, so I didn't give a fuck. So I was just like, I'm going to go sit in the van.
Johnny abandoned the merch table, and that's why we have no
Definitely,
money.
yeah. I was a stone child who knows what was in this man's weed.
Yeah, right.
And we smoked a blunt. So I'll pick it up from there. So we smoked a blunt in the car. You guys go watch the bands. And I think actually, Frank, you were in the car with us while we were smoking the blunt.
I came back out. So this happened pretty much in an intermission because this was
Yeah.
right after that Comeback Kid band
So,
played.
and I have to mention another thing. Okay. Earlier in the day, I think you guys got Arby's and I did not want Arby's or something like that. So I got a separate sandwich. I had a sandwich. I was the only one with a sandwich for some reason.
From where?
I don't fucking know, but I got like a turkey sandwich or something from somewhere, okay? And I ate the sandwich like hanging out outside of the van, right? And I crumpled the wrapper up and I put it on top of the van because I was like reaching inside to like find a bag, like, you know what I'm saying? Like I was doing something, I was going to take the sandwich wrapper
I do remember
and
this.
put it back inside of the van. Like, you know, I had every intention of like I popped it up there because I was like doing shit. So I had forgotten about the sandwich wrapper. So it must have fell off the car and floated away into the parking lot of these people's bar.
Yes.
Right. So I'll just say that this was a minor strike against us. Okay.
Yes.
It was me. Now this was littering, which isn't, and it was accidental. So this isn't the straw that broke the camel's back by any means, but I do feel like this was
it was
a strike mark against us.
It
Like
added to the fire. There's no question.
so, it was van strike mark. They mustn't have liked that, and then the sandwich wrapper mustn't have liked that.
Strike
Children
two.
smoking a blunt in the van outside of their show, smelling the place up. At the time, maybe someone wasn't happy about that. Weed wasn't as prevalent at the time.
Those were, for the most part, I can't speak to every band, but out of 3 of the bands we spoke to were straight edge bands.
Yeah.
Plus, we were from out of town.
Yeah.
So, you know.
And we were from out of
Look at
town,
these fucking
so
New
they
Yorkers
knew,
just
they
doing
knew
whatever the
we
fuck
were
they
one
want.
of the New York bands, or you guys were one of the New York bands.
So during the set of the band that I was really getting down to, one of the members of the sister band we were touring with happens to be in the pit and does just not a normal swing of the fist that you would do when dancing or moving around. He flat out knocks somebody out.
This was a huge pivotal moment.
This was the deciding factor.
So it's the begin spiral.
Yeah. Mashed potato, as it were.
But it's strange. I almost feel like before this they didn't like us and they had something.
The van was not helping.
Okay.
The van was not helping.
So I am certain now to this day that they were gonna do something anyway, because simultaneously while you guys were experiencing that, I was out in the van, right? And I was sitting in the van, high out of my mind with Mike C. And I'm like zoned the fuck out, like Lil Wayne or some shit is on the radio, you know what I'm saying? I'm zoned the fuck out. And all of a sudden I'm just like seeing these little lights like
They're flicking cigarettes, lit cigarettes.
coming, and I had
into
no
the
idea what was going on. I'm like, I see all these little lights, and I'm just like tripping out, like what the fuck? And then I like start smelling something, and I look at the floor, and the floor is covered in lit cigarettes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the fuck is going
To
on?
be
And then like
shit.
puzzle pieces and shit, start getting put together in my head, and I'm like, yo, they're throwing lit cigarettes in our van right now.
Wasn't that a
And I
big
got
chunk of
very scared?
Wasn't a big chunk of the lit cigarette thing from the guys from the front of the bar though? Guys that probably would have seen the stuff on the van and been outside smoking a cigarette.
That's what I don't exactly know that part, but I do know that nobody there liked us, and they were ready. It was whatever time of night it was the fucking witching hour, because
From
whatever was going on with you guys, I started getting lit cigarettes flicked into the van, and I was like, that's a bad sign.
Yeah, it's
that's
not
a
a good
really
sign.
bad sign.
From
I don't
what
know
I
who's
remember-
doing it, but I don't even want to look.
From what I remember, that was the older gentlemen. Those guys from the front of the bar
I
at
think
the
it
pool
was the
tables, the
bikers.
bikers. Yeah.
So
those
now
guys were
bikers
flicking.
hate you and people at
Well,
the show hate you
people
because,
loved us until that push.
that
but
moment.
now it's all
But now they've come together.
Didn't this? So I wasn't inside, but what I heard is that the kid from Connecticut got punched and then got $1 million babied into a stair.
Yeah, that is exactly what happened.
And the kid was knocked out. Like,
He was unconscious. That's for certain because they were throwing water on him and shit. I was there, right there for it. And I was trying to help the kid.
And so my perspective outside, the other band and my friends who were in that band at the time, normally I would have certainly went and said see you later to them. I saw them run out of this venue, get in their already packed car, hit it in reverse, and get the fuck out of there within 15 seconds of whatever the fuck happening. They were gone so fast, and they were so smart to get out of there.
Yeah.
But it left us, like, not that they could have done anything to help us, but
It would have been nice.
but we were now officially on an island. Like, we were stranded at this place, and we were surrounded by motherfuckers who did not like us.
I know for a fact that he basically assaults this dude. They get the fuck out of there. I'm still inside at this point, talking to people and helping this kid who's definitely unconscious and pretty fucked up. His face is pretty fucked up. At that time, I didn't know there was an issue because I was in the thick of it with these people. When I got outside, I noticed there was a lot of commotion nearing the van. I had gotten out of the van to go back inside, blah, blah, blah. The moral of the story is, at this point, the group of older dudes, bikers, and the group of hardcore kids that now had a reason to not like us had, against all odds, come together and their hatred for us.
I think we were in some territory of some like older hardcore dudes, some history that had already been there, and maybe they did have a relationship with the bikers and the bar and the venue before we got there.
Sure.
Because the people who did not like us were all from Connecticut,
yeah,
and we were the only ones from New York.
Yeah,
and
they took pride in it.
Exactly, for sure.
They took pride
and you know, for people who don't know, I'm sure everybody who listens to this knows, but Connecticut is a short ferry ride away.
Yeah,
it is very similar to Long Island, New York, and certainly they weren't happy when the fucking Twin Towers went down. Certainly, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
Just because they were from Connecticut doesn't mean that they didn't take exception
to
what we had written on our van.
A factor I never thought about. I was wearing a Bill shirt. They could have really taken offense to that Bill shirt.
You caused it all.
Shitty
Actually,
Patriots fans.
They definitely did. But Connecticut Patriots fans are the worst kind.
The worst
too.
kind. As I've said many times on this show, fuck Boston, but fuck Connecticut. Just for the record. Just for the record.
Sorry, we can say that as much as we want because we're never coming back.
Right, exactly. All right, so.
Except for that trip we just planned.
Right.
The trip you guys planned right before the show.
All right, so
they're going to find you.
At this point, there's lit cigarettes in the van, and we finally put it together after our sister band has left.
Yep.
It's time to fucking go.
It's time to get the fuck out of there.
So as we are struggling to get the remainder of our gear, which we had gotten the large portion of it, as we're struggling to get everything we own out of this venue and into the van, it becomes a point where the parking lot had gotten so packed because, again, when we first pulled up, it was empty, as I've said. At this point, the show is in full swing. The parking lot is packed. Our parking spot had become an issue. We were blocked in and could not move this van for the life of us.
So we were parked. And then to the driver's side of us was the wall of the venue.
Yes, correct.
Next to us was a parked car.
Yes,
and then behind us there was a fence, and alongside of it was parking spaces that had been set up there.
Yes.
But they hadn't been being used.
Yeah, no.
The whole night.
Yeah.
Like, we parked there, and we didn't even see them there because it was like nobody had used them all day. Nobody had used them all night.
They were full.
So when we got out there, I swear, I remember right before you guys got back, a car pulled into that spot.
Yeah.
Like, after the shit had gone down.
Yeah, sure.
After the shit had gone down, but before you guys got back, I swear somebody pulled into that spot knowingly.
So
because it was also convenient from this point on. It was also convenient.
So we're trying to move this van, and by we're trying, I mean we had thrown within our group 2 or 3 different drivers at it.
Yep.
You tried to move it. Steve-O tried to move it. I'm pretty sure Nick tried to move it. At that point, as things are beginning to get more and more hostile, and the group outside the van is becoming a mob.
It's like frazzling.
It's frazzling.
Stirring like a beehive.
There's a few of us in the van. There's a few of us outside of the van, basically like, like fucking...
Or left.
Trying to direct people out. Somebody...
In a group of fucking people, dude.
In a group
outside
of people,
the door of the show.
In a group of people that hate us, somebody essentially raises their hand and says, hey, quote unquote, I move vans like that for a living. I can help.
Yeah.
At that point, the singer of our band decides... here's the keys to the van.
Well, it was a little bit of a conversation because the two people who were up front were the singer and then our other friend who wanted to get us out of the situation badly.
Desperately. Yes.
He was really trying. He was he was very thoughtful about this before. Like he looked at the other guy and discussed like very seriously for a second, like, should we let this, like, because they clearly knew the situation we were in, and they were like, do we take a chance on this right now? Like, because we're not getting out of here, and this is getting really fucking bad, and we got to get the fuck out of here.
So as the keys are handed over to this gentleman, the people inside the van are myself, Justin, Johnny, and one other. The rest of us are still outside of the van. This gentleman gets in the van, starts the van, and floors this fucking van in reverse. So floors it.
Yeah, so from my perspective, though, maybe this is my brain making stuff up, but he gets in the car, the guy driving the van, the car that was behind us, blocking us in, I swear on my life, moves. I could be wrong. Maybe
set up.
But dude, I'm not kidding.
But like
maybe
he said, he floored it. So how is it possible?
That's what I'm saying. It happened so fast. I look behind us and I remember like wanting to be like, hey, the car's, and then before I could even say the car is like moving, this guy is slamming it into reverse and flooring it straight.
Even if this fucking car was still there or wasn't there, he had no regard for the car. Like
not even a little bit.
He didn't care if he hit something. That's how aggressively he stepped on
He
this.
never once did the like.
He never looked.
Let me see.
No.
Okay.
He never looked.
So just to be clear, we are now in a full hijacking situation.
Yes.
We are four of us in a car with a person we have never met, driving a van extremely erratically, seeming like
at this point
he wants to hurt us.
At this point, as he backs out, he hasn't said anything to us at all. Now I'm sitting directly behind him. Justin's next to me. Johnny and Mike are in the back,
all the way in
row.
the back, like
so. No one is next to him in the passenger seat. I, at this point, am thinking, all right, he's going to back out like a dick aggressively, and then go forward, and we're going to get in. We're gone. He backs out aggressively, then goes from 0 to 60 in a parking lot, and then pulls out onto a major highway.
Yeah.
So
but
now
it was like
you guys are capped.
Yeah.
Now we're capped.
We're talking when I'm talking this. I mean, he actually must have been a pretty decent driver because like he was getting us to like a thing and then just, whoop, like getting us to, like it was screeching. The van was it was this dude was fucking
I don't know about you guys, but at that point, like, don't get me wrong, he wasn't driving that cool, but at that point I assumed someone in our band had spoken to him and there was no big deal. Like, this guy's just going to get us out. I didn't assume anything was wrong yet.
I personally felt immediately something was wrong, but I was so scared and so like a ghost all the way in the backseat that I was like fucking like a fugue state child. Like I was just like, I was somewhere else, dude. Like this guy is like we're gonna die. Like this guy is gonna kill us.
So half of our party is still at the show, and the other half of the party is in this van. Now the van is going a minimum, and I'm not exaggerating anyway, of 90 miles an hour down a highway.
Oh my god!
And I realize something's wrong when I look over at the guy in front of me, and he is shaking and saying, I got to get to a Dunkin' Donuts. I got to find it.
Yes.
So actually, oh my god.
Yeah, and you were actually, Frank, I think at a moment you did realize something was wrong, and you spoke up. You were the only one out of all of us saying,
what the fuck are we doing here?
Yeah, and he said, and that's when he started saying the Dunkin' Donuts thing, and he repeated it
like a crazy person.
Like a crazy person.
So back at the show, my phone is ringing nonstop in my pocket, and I don't want to answer it because I'm focused on this I'm in go mode, dude.
You're back holding at the show, something.
So I'm fashioning a coat hanger into a device to get around him.
And it was the only thing. It sounds crazy. It's the only option.
Praying I wasn't going to have to do that.
Yeah, because he's driving fast.
So I can't pay attention to my phone. Little do I know, I had somewhere around 60 missed calls from the singer in our band. The singer in our band was back in the parking lot, and now they're surrounded by this mob. And they're all saying to him, that guy that took the van is off his meds and he's fucking crazy. Your friends are all going to die tonight.
and I still don't know
It's
if they
probably
said
a
that.
scare tactic. It has to be.
Yeah, killing spree. So this guy is driving us very, very far away from the show. Very far away from the show. When he just decides in the middle of the fucking highway, he's just going to get out.
He pulled into a thing.
Yes.
He did, but yes, that's
But-
exactly what happened. He found a random fucking place, skirted into that bitch, and decided, I'm leaving now.
Yeah. We don't know where he went.
No, it was like some like dark alley fucking. Like, where did that guy?
And if I remember,
was it a ghost?
If
or
I
was,
remember correctly, as a stall tactic, he took the keys out of the van and threw them under the van.
he didn't throw them under the van. He threw them into the van.
Okay, just somewhere.
Just
yeah.
Like, fuck
So
you
you
guys.
to
chase
give
him
him
down.
at least
He
at
knew.
least
This guy-
5 seconds.
This sounds like criminal behavior as a criminal
Exactly.
myself. Yeah, You guys.
That's
you know,
what I think. Is that I think that from the moment that we disrespected
Right.
them in whatever way that it was on,
So-
they knew they had a whole plan for us.
So the rest of us at the rest of the crew at the show, which included Holmes and the singer of our band and Poe,
Hold on, let me just ask.
Yeah.
So tell me briefly what happened, real quick.
At the
show
we
when
were
the-
back
yeah,
to be honest with you, I wasn't. I was like I was doing my own thing. I wasn't with Nick when he was being surrounded. I was probably like trying to talk to a girl or something.
So you didn't feel any pressure.
No,
I was gonna say I never remember Holmes past a certain point of this story, and it's because he was
I
just.
tried to pretend I wasn't with you guys.
Yeah, fuck those guys.
he just wasn't.
So
That's probably a good tactic.
at some point they realize whether the van's here or not, we need to leave this show. So they just start walking down the road in the direction in which the van left.
Yeah.
And we eventually find the keys inside the van, and we start getting the van back towards them. We finally meet back up, and we're trying to hightail it out of there. I believe at that point, when we all got back together, Steve-O decided he was going to drive.
Well, yes, exactly. But before that happened, I think you were driving, Frank, or
I think I was No, it was you.
I think I hopped
it
in
was
after
you.
that kid
You were
left.
getting it back.
And if you guys remember, we went past the venue and we did not stop the van. No. We opened the door and made them run to us, and they ran, and each of them hopped in like a fucking old Western. That's how scared we were to even stop in front of this venue. And we looked into the parking lot, and like it seemed like they were like an angry mob, like they finally won, like they were cheering at it, they were like yelling at us as we were going by.
I'm
Like,
sure I saw some lit torches.
that's how it felt.
They were having a good old time, though.
Oh yeah,
That was one of the best shows in Connecticut history. If you go back to that
Dude,
scene,
I
talked
hope somebody hears this story from their perspective.
Oh my God, yeah.
and knows how badly they
I
fucking.
hope the guy who
fucked
took the
with us.
van
That was
hears this.
excellent.
They
Yeah.
got us.
I hope
bad.
you found that
And we
Dunkin'
deserved it.
Donuts at some point.
Yeah,
buddy.
I know, man.
really
We-
do. But
we
Kevin, if
deserved
you
every
could have
part of
seen
what
it,
we got.
I gotta find this Dunkin' Donuts.
It was
freaking for tweaking.
America runs on
freaking.
Dunkin',
Yeah,
dog.
exactly. This
was
guy fucking
fucked.
ran on Dunkin'.
He was fucked. He was tweaking like crazy.
That's
It-
sick.
So we leave the show, we go to a rest stop, and that's when smoking weed out of the can happens.
Yeah.
And that's basically the climax.
So actually, there is one more thing. There's one. Yeah, the hit.
Yeah,
so
Johnny, that was only a thing for you, though.
no, fuck that, dude. Fuck that.
It was a very hilly area.
Bro,
It was, yeah.
We were in a straight up valley, and we had to go up and then down this hill. And it was like we got to the top of this hill, and like you could act like it was nothing, but we talked about not going down this hill.
Yeah, we did. We
We were like,
it was a
maybe we
discussion.
shouldn't. This is
Yeah,
kind
the
of
van-
scary.
we definitely stopped the van and contemplated.
Dude,
like,
it was
driving that way.
it was the scariest degree angle I've ever seen.
I'm not saying that conversation didn't happen. It definitely did. But what I remember specifically was as we're going down the hill, you freaking the
Oh my
fucking.
God.
We were
I
all
think-
high as fuck.
I
We were
think
all
it
so
was
high.
like a whole build up to this, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and it was the last thing to just get the fuck out of
Do
this
you remember
place.
the mantra you were repeating?
I don't remember the mantra because I had put headphones on and I started listening to Thrice.
You kept saying, "I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die."
I definitely at that moment I was like, if I'm not dead yet, this is gonna kill me for sure. I was like, I straight up I was done. Like, I was shot, and like I was so fucking scared of this. Like, I'm not like I go on roller coasters and shit. I'm not super heights or crazy guy, but I was fucking freaking out.
The combination
about
of adrenaline, fear factor, highness,
To
and
be
the
leaving
hill.
that on
Yeah.
such a high, like fuck, we got out of there, and then that
I
road.
did not. I was about to be like, bro, let me slide down my butt on this.
So as we're here towards the end of the story and the craziness, what do you take away from that night?
I have no idea. It makes me miss Steve-O a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
You should definitely look into the area of a place you're going before you go there.
That's a huge thing. Just don't write stupid shit
Yeah, that's a
on
big
your
one.
fucking van.
Justin, what do you take away?
Connecticut should sell beer on Sundays.
I always, whenever I think about it and I take away from it, I say, in the time, it was the worst of times. And now that I'm able to look back on it, it's probably the coolest experience
Oh,
I've
my
ever
God,
gone
this is
through.
the best.
Holmes,
so
you got nothing, Holmes? That's all you take away?
I mean, when you come so close to death, you appreciate life more.
Yeah. Honestly, I've told this story now to people in my life 150 times, and I'm glad that it's recorded somewhere.
Yeah.
And it's out there. Because it was a very, very crazy night, very crazy day, and it was impactful on my life.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely got to be my best memory from that band. Probably.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. I mean, how
lot of
how
good
sad
memories.
is that? But yeah, probably for me too. But no, it was the thing. Like I said in the beginning, the thing that gets lost is how much fun we had right up until the craziness. Like,
Yeah, so much fun. Yeah. Even the craziness was kind of fun. I have to say, the only in all of that mess, the worst part for me was the hill. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm gonna die. I'm
Yeah,
gonna die.
like, the rest of it, like, my life had been threatened here in Mastic Beach by people a million times already. So even though that is very scary, it was a fear I was used to.
What do you think would have happened had I not said anything to that guy? The same events would have played out, or you think he would have
Yeah.
went further?
No, I think the same events would have played out. I think maybe he would have said something to scare us, or maybe he would have. But I think his goal was to scare the shit out of us. I don't think his goal was to hurt us.
I don't think his goal
physically,
was to
actually.
hurt us, but I do think there was something to that guy not being a normal person.
Definitely, yeah. Because
Like-
a normal person doesn't just hijack a van
Yeah.
full of people. Because
You
that's
guys
a
could have
major
easily
crime.
called the cops.
Oh,
It's a major
It never
crime.
even Kevin.
Oh,
it never
that was
even
another
crossed
thing.
my mind.
When if you guys remember, there was a precinct on the corner.
Yeah.
It was boarded up.
It was boarded up. It never even crossed my mind. Like when we were in the car, like I said, my
yeah.
phone was ringing nonstop. I knew I had a phone in my pocket, but my only thought was like, I'm gonna have to take physical action around this guy. So I'm bending this coat hanger, and I'm like gonna like mafia style the guy. But I'm saying to myself, if that happens, we all need to be wearing seatbelts. So I'm like motioning to him, like get your shit on, like blah blah. And it would have been a nightmare had I actually done that. So I'm trying to reason with this guy. Like after I say, what the fuck is going on here? I'm like, dude, you know you have to stop at some point, right? Like,
Yeah.
I'm trying to talk to him and he's not talking. He's just shaking violently. And I'm like, dude, I'm going to kill this guy. I'm going to have to kill this
It's
guy.
like that scene in Con Air when he's about to
You
take
had-
the plane
yeah.
down. Buckle up.
You had a weapon too.
I don't remember what I had.
I can't remember what it was. You had something.
Snow scraper.
No, it was something so stupid. It definitely wasn't a weapon. It was definitely like a household item. And, but we were ready. We were ready for this fucking guy. This guy
Wine
was
opener.
going down.
Yeah, wine opener.
But no, that's for the most part, that's our story.
I think so, yeah.
That's our story. And
Where are we at, John? Did we do
58 minutes.
58 minutes.
58 minutes?
Yes.
what do you want to do? You want to move on or you want to end it?
It's up to you guys. I think we did pretty good.
Yeah, I think we did great.
I think we did good.
I would like to say that if you are from Connecticut,
Waterbury specifically.
if you're from Waterbury, Connecticut, and you know the area that we're talking about, and this is blowing your fucking mind, or you are one of the people involved in the story with us,
Email us.
Yes.
please. Poor Timing Podcast.
at gmail.com.
Or find us on Instagram at Poor Timing Podcast.
Are you guys going to do it in unison every time?
I mean, that's how good we're getting at fucking broadcasting.
You guys know each. If you two know each other's body, you know each other's minds.
I know
Yes.
Vega's mind.
For
You
sure.
know his voice.
Yeah, and
You
that's why this whole
harmonized
thing
it.
works so
Beautiful
good.
mind.
That was great.
Poor timing.